Okay, thank you very much. I will start now. Sorry for that slight delay. Okay, my name is Kolade Akin, and I'm going to be facilitating this seminar. I'll just share my screen and then we will start. Now, what are we here about? It's basically to talk about what we call the qualified teacher status in the UK, February 2023. My name is Kolade Akin. I've been a teacher for the last 17 years in the UK, and I've been a mentor to young people for the last 33 years. So I am somebody that is versed in education in terms of whether in Nigeria or here. I didn't teach in Nigeria and I didn't train to be a teacher. I have a degree in industrial maths. That's what I studied. But since 2005, when I started my teacher training here in the UK, I've been teaching maths in secondary schools, and I've taught in several schools until this year, when I disengaged from full-time in schools to get into something totally different. So what is this about? We're going to be going through just 6 steps, topics. What's the great news? Who is eligible? What is required to start processing? And what is the cost of processing? How long is it going to take to process? And what are further prospects once you have landed in the UK? So those are key things we're going to look at. So welcome to Treasured Personnel UK. We're a facilitating agency helping to provide information for you to make your transition from outside the UK into the UK in a legal manner. And why did I say legal manner? We don't cut corners. We don't encourage people to cut corners. We're not going to tell you anything that is not legal, because we are going to be working with a legal team as well who will tell you exactly what you need to do. So we are not going to tell you to do something that is dodgy. The reason is because anything you do, especially when you put in your application the first time in any of the platforms in this country, that information is saved. So you don't want to put in something wrong the first time, because the timeline is going to show in your future application. So we are going to help you so that you get it right the first time. And if anything happens, let's say they don't give you a visa the first time, your timeline is clean. You can appeal that case if your documentation is right, because sometimes they do refuse visas for funny reasons. But if your timeline is good, if your documentation is genuine, then you know you're not going to have to go and bring another document with a different name. You're coming with the same thing to prove that what you've submitted is correct, is legal, and it's an accredited document. So we don't apply for visas for people. Let me quickly make that very clear. We don't apply for visas and we don't issue visas. So I'm very clear about that. So we're not going to collect money from you to say we are applying for your visa for you. You are going to do the business yourself. But what we're going to do is to ensure that whatever you are presenting is correct. And if there's a challenge with your visa, when we have followed exactly the advice we gave, then we know that if we are going for an appeal, it's going to be easy to appeal such a case once your documentation is correct. Our job is to support you all the way and advise you about what needs to be done to achieve a successful application. And our team is made up of seasoned educational and human resource professionals who will guide you all the way. So that's a key information. Now, what's the great news? I saw this online and it excited me. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Walt Disney. That's what he said several years ago, and that still applies today. So we're not just going to be talking, we want you to start doing something from today. And that's why we are running these free seminars. We started on Monday and it's ending today. And going forward, we'll be taking a different approach. So what does it mean? The good news is that teachers from certain nations outside the UK and the European Union can now apply for what is called the qualified teacher status in the UK. Until this moment, there was a restriction due to an EU regulation that restricted teachers from outside the EU and Switzerland from applying to teach in the UK. So if you wanted to teach in the UK, you had to follow that regulation. And that was a restriction. The second part of that restriction was that you needed a qualification that matches the teaching education in the UK and teaching qualifications in the UK. And we're going to look at what that really means in a few moments. But the aspect of the EU regulation meant that before you can employ a teacher or a staff in the UK, you need to advertise your job in the UK. You don't find anybody in the UK, you advertise in the EU. If you don't find anybody, that's when you can employ somebody from outside. So several companies had a way of going around that, but it was very difficult. So teachers could not really come into the UK. And coupled with the fact that the qualifications that they had also had a challenge with the UK. Now, the UK government is proposing a new bill. They're going to be preparing a new legislation titled the Professional Qualifications Bill. And that bill is going to eliminate the legislation from the EU, which formed the basis for recognizing qualifications for employment, and restricted those allowed indirectly from within the EU and Switzerland alone. So it set a way to recognize your qualification and restricted it to only those within the EU. So if you didn't get your qualification within the EU, you couldn't really work here. There were only few countries, I think Canada, maybe US and Australia that could teach here. But now that's changing. So from the 1st of February, teachers from 9 countries will be allowed to apply for the qualified teacher status directly from their country based on the teaching regulations in the country where they reside. And those countries are Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and I think Hong Kong, Jamaica, India, Ukraine, and one other country that is on that list, which we shall see in a few minutes. So that's the good news. So the apply for qualified teacher status in England will now set a consistent qualification standard so that qualifications and experiences of teachers from overseas countries are assessed fairly and equally. That word assessed fairly was not there before. They didn't assess it fairly. They just looked at it. You are from Nigeria, forget about it. We don't recognize your qualification. We don't care whether you've been teaching for 100 years. As far as we're concerned, it is not at par with the qualifications in this country. They didn't bother to check. Now they're going to check it in a fair and equal manner. So they did not recognize whatever qualification you got, even if you had a BEd, MEd, PhD in education, they still will not let you teach in this country. You have to retrain. If you had a PhD in education, you have to come back and do a postgraduate certificate in education, a 1-year training, before you could be allowed to teach in a secondary school, even though you had a PhD in education and you are taught with 15, 20, 30 years of experience. They now have recognized that teachers from these countries have a substantial presence in the UK as valued members of the teaching workforce. So people like us, because we've worked here, we're from Nigeria, some of us are from Ghana, from Zimbabwe, from South Africa, from Hong Kong, Jamaica, India, and all these other countries. We've been here for years and we've taught in the school. And they've come to understand that the teacher training we took, that 1-year teacher training, is not really what added to our skill. It's just to help us to get into the system. We have still brought in the experience that we had from the countries that we came from. So they've discovered that these countries have long established strong educational ties with the UK. For example, Nigeria was colonized. All these 9 countries were colonized by the UK. So that means they gave us the education foundation that we have. So whatever we are building on is based on what they gave us. And that is really good news for anybody who is an experienced teacher willing to relocate to the United Kingdom. Now, what is the qualified teacher status? It simply is what you need to teach in primary and secondary schools. So what we're looking at is the standard that will help you to be able to teach in primary and secondary, not really nursery schools. It's primary and secondary. So it's a confirmation that you have the right training and meet the standards required to be a teacher. The good side of it is that this standard is a teaching standard that is respected across the world. So if you get it in the UK and you teach for 1 year, it opens up the opportunities for you to teach in many countries across the world. I had a friend who we taught in the same school together. He's been teaching in Dubai since 2009. And what he did was he got the QTS here, worked for some few years, and he's gone to Dubai. I think from Dubai, I think he worked in Dubai, then he went to Jordan or something like that. He's moved across the Middle East. He's been making money because he has the QTS. That's what afforded him the opportunity to be able to teach in those other countries. So you can train here and then decide to move somewhere else, or you can decide to just stay in the UK. Now, who is eligible? This is the real aspect. These are the countries, like I shared a few minutes ago. I think I didn't include Singapore. So Ghana, Hong Kong, India, Jamaica, Nigeria, Singapore, South Africa, Ukraine, and Zimbabwe. Those are the 9 countries that are now allowed to apply. So they'll be able to apply to the TRA. We use quite a lot of acronyms here. TRA means the Teaching Regulation Agency. And that allows you to apply for the QTS, which is called the Qualified Teachers Status. So that's what you're going to apply for. So that's the good news. And these are the eligibility criteria. So we've looked at this before. We're not going to go over that again. That's why these countries have been selected. These 3 things are what's made them to say, yes, we recognize what is being done in these countries. They're going to add value to the teaching workforce in this country. Now, to apply, what do you need? From the 1st of February to be awarded a QTS as a non-UK teacher, you must have these things. The first one is you must have an undergraduate degree of the same academic standard as a UK bachelor's degree, as verified by UK ENIC. Now, UK ENIC is the body that verifies academic qualifications that are not obtained in the United Kingdom. So when you have, if you've got a degree or you got a WAEC or a NECO result, if you want to use it in the UK, you need to go through this body, submit your documentation to them, they will verify and come back to you with a letter saying, we have verified your result, we've seen that it's authentic, and we see that it's to the standard of so and so in the UK. So you might bring your master's degree and they say, listen, from what we've seen, it's not really up to a master's degree in the UK. You need to do 1 or 2 more modules or maybe 20 more credits, and then it will be up to standard. Or they will say, yes, it's equal. It's okay. We can now recognize it as a master's degree. So you need to run it through them. So we're going to be discussing, these are some of the things we're going to be discussing with you to be able to see that you put in the right documents, how you put in those documents so that you get this verified before the 1st of February. You must have completed a teacher training that meets the standard of a level 6 qualification and is at least the same length as an English initial teacher training course. So for example, a bachelor's of education degree is a level 6 qualification. Now, a degree, a BSc degree, a BA degree is a level 6 qualification, but they will be looking more closely at the fact that it's a Bachelor of Education or a postgraduate certificate in education. Now, I know a lot of people in some of our countries have not done a PGCE, which is the postgraduate certificate in education. Most people have a postgraduate diploma in education. I will still expect you to still bring that along and see how you can submit that for this verification. If you have a Bachelor of Education, that makes it great. You might not necessarily need the PGDE because the Bachelor of Education is what they will verify to see that it's up to level 6. Now, you must have completed a course that has a content that is practical. So that means you've done the practical while you were training, and it's got the pedagogy that is focused on education, on teaching. So the content must show that they were training you to go into the classroom. So be qualified to teach children aged between 5 and 16 years. So that means primary and secondary schools. This next one must have at least 1 school year. It says a minimum of 9 months, including school holidays, but excluding time taken out for any other reasons. So it's not you did 8 months of teaching and then you were off because you had maternity or 6 months maternity, and your length of service is said to be 1 year, but you only spend 3 months in school. That would not be considered as 1 year. It must be up to 9 months classroom experience. I always encourage people to have 2 years because it's going to be a competitive field. You notice there are 9 countries there, and you can imagine how many people will be wanting to come from Nigeria, Ghana, and Jamaica, and not to talk of India. So you need to have something that is a bit over the expected. This is the minimum at least, so you must go a bit above that. If you have 1 year, it's not a problem, but I'm just saying prepare to have more. If you have more, the better. Now, this one is also crucial. Have the professional status needed to be a teacher in the country where you qualified and not subject to any conditions or restrictions on your practice. What does that mean? In Nigeria, I think it's called the TCN, the Teaching TRCN or something like Teaching Council Regulation Body of Nigeria. I'll get that later. But in the United Kingdom, it's called the GTC, the Government Teaching Council. So that's the body that regulates teaching in the United Kingdom. So you need to ensure that you are registered with the teaching body in your country. So it's not just the fact that you've taught for 10 years or 15 years or 11 years, but you're not registered with that professional body. So that means they have not recognized you as a teacher. You need to get that sorted out before you can begin to apply for the QTS. They are going to ask for it, and they're going to verify it with that body that it's authentic. So please, it's important that you get that. And that goes back to what I said initially. Documentations are crucial. We're going to be talking about that in a few minutes. So what do you need to start processing your application? The key thing for anybody that wants to go for this QTS, before you even start going to their website, is to get your original transcripts and certificates. Get it so that you can put it through to this web, to the ENIC. If you type in UK ENIC on Google or your search engine, it should come up. Make sure, or if you go to gov.uk, www.gov.uk, I think that's the best way to do it so that you don't go and get into some scam website. Go to gov.uk, www.gov.uk, type it in. Once it comes up, do a search, UK ENIC. It will take you to the authentic website. So you don't go and put your details into a scam website. That one will help you. Get your documents, your transcripts, your certificates. And once you've done that, then I added this, that you get it certified by a notary public. Now that one is not compulsory, but for those who have been in my seminars, I explained the reason that we've had somebody get their visas rejected before, because when they presented their marriage certificate or one of the certificates, they said there's no proof that it's authentic. They said, but I got it from this and that and that. They say, yes, but there's no proof. So what should I have done? They say you should have gotten it certified by a notary public. Now, that's not always the case, but if you can do that, get it done. There's no harm in getting it done so that it becomes a legal document. Once you get your transcripts, go to the UK ENIC website and get the conversion done. Now, what we are advising is that get all your documentation together. If you are using 2 WAEC results, maybe 1 NECO, 1 WAEC, put them together. Get the original, get the statement from WAEC or the body itself. Now, get those ones, get your transcript from your schools. I know getting transcripts is a challenge. Get a statement of result if you can't get the transcript. Get it signed by the head of department. Let there be a stamp on it. And if possibly, if they can put an email address on it, that would be good. I don't know if they are allowed to do that, but make sure there's a way they can track it back to your department so that they can authenticate the fact that it came from your department. Now, get those things and then go to this website, the ENIC website, and do the conversion. It's good to do all of them together, because if you do them separately, you will have to pay separately. But if you get your documentation together, you do only one conversion. They will get all your academic results and certify it and tell you this is the conversion of your certificates on one single letter. And that single letter is what you will be presenting anytime you're showing your qualification. So if you got a master's, you got a PhD, you got a PGD, whatever, take all the documents together at once and do the conversion in one go so that you have only one document to present. And once you get that document, please scan that document, even your certificate, get it into PDF form so that you have something, so that if anything happens to your documentation, you can go into cloud or you can go into your email it to yourself. So you can go into your email anywhere and you can download that form and you can still use it anytime you want, even though you don't have the paper copy. So that's about that. Yeah, so I think we've spoken about this. All these other ones are things you're going to need later. Written proof of years of service as a teacher. Get that. If you can get that, letter of appointment, appraisals, promotions, reference. Reference that they're going to need is not really that they give you a letter of reference. They need somebody's email address and a phone number. That's what they need. So you need to get that, or your last place of work. They're going to need somebody they can contact by email that will respond within a week or so that the person can write a reference for you, that yes, you worked with us, you were good, you were this and that. Sometimes all they just want to confirm is that you worked there and that the length of service that you gave is correct, and that you didn't have any problems working with them, that they can recommend you as a staff. That's really what they need. So get an accreditation letter from the teaching regulation body of your country. This is crucial, and that's really, really important that you have that. And yeah, all these other things are things that, yeah, it says the Teaching Council of Nigeria. Yeah, so get your registration there. If you've not registered with them, go through their process, find out what you need to do, pay the money if you need to get it, get the document, and make sure you have that, because you're going to need it if you're going to seek to get the QTS in this country. The first one says have an international passport. That one is way down the line. That is after you get the QTS. That's when the passport is going to be needed. But if you don't have one and you're planning to go all the way, I will advise you start the processing of your passport, because we understand in some of our countries it's very difficult getting your passport very quickly. In this country, if you want to get it within a day, you can do it. You can do a fast track, you can do it with a 3-day or 1 week passport, and it comes out. But in some of our countries, it's tedious. So start to process it, get what you need, and do that. Now, have your conversion. This one, the IELTS, you're going to need it whichever way. You will need to show proof that you can write in English, you can read, you can speak, you can listen in English. We have been challenging this. The challenge is still going on, that the IELTS should not be a requirement for those of us that have come from Nigeria, which was colonized by England, and where our lingua franca is mainly the major spoken language in Nigeria is English. And then we have our other languages, the broken English and our local dialects. So for us to have to be sitting this exam is a bit absurd. But at the moment, that's the regulation. That might change tomorrow. When they are putting in this professional qualifications bill, they might remove this option. But if they've not removed it, if you've done it, they say it's valid for 3 years, it's better for you. Now, all these ones are things that from number 4 down are things that we're going to be dealing with later. And this is the area, this is much of the area where we're going to come in to support you. Getting your CV done. The way CVs are written in Nigeria is not the way it is written here. And almost for every job that you're going to apply for, you will need to tweak your CV or adjust something, because the requirement in each school is different. So you will need to do something. So you can't just present a blank the same email for all the jobs you are going to have. So those are the areas where we're going to come in to be able to help you, support you, and create at least a few templates of CVs that you're going to need. And all the other ones are things we're going to be discussing with you later, if you formally engage us and say, yes, I want you to support me to be able to go through this process. But what we want to do with you first is to be able to ensure that you have the conversion done first, and then you can put in your QTS with the support that we're going to give. So the COS, those are things that will happen when you get the employer. We are working with quite a number, we're going to be working with quite a number of employers to ensure that we put you through to places where you can get interviews, see how we can support you in preparing for interviews, and also looking at how you can get the transition from teaching in Nigeria to the UK, because it's a different ball game entirely. If you've taught in Nigeria for several years, the things you're not going to be able to do here in terms of maybe disciplining kids. A student is not going to carry your books. They're not going to carry your bag. They're not going to go and buy food for you. All those things, you have to read them off your system. If you're going to teach here, you're going to be able to handle behavior. One of the major things you have to learn is behavior management. How do you manage, your erratic behavior in the class? How do I manage a kid swearing at you? How do you do those things? If you take it to yourself, if you hold it like, oh, he swore at me, and you can't handle those things, you will discover that you won't be able to teach here. But I've taught here for 17 years, and I've dealt with every kind of situation you can think about, whether kids that are gang members, kids that are bad kids, kids that are I rate different kind of kids. I've taught with them. I've taught in special needs schools. I've taught in various kids. I've mentored various forms of kids, and I've been able to navigate through that. Not because I'm a super teacher, but because I've been able to adapt. I've been able to learn, and those are the things we're going to be supporting you through, so that when you eventually land in the UK, you are ready from day one to be able to face your first class. And then also in terms of maybe interviews, how do you face online interviews? How do you teach online? If they're going to put you through an interview, they might want you to teach a class online. How do you do that online? We're going to walk you through those processes. Yeah, so I think that's the IELTS sort of like the English stuff that we talked about. We are advising that it's better to do the one that is the UKVI option, and the UKVI option that is academic, because you're going to need it for applying when you want to apply for your visa, and you're going to need it also for apply for the QTS. So it will work in dual ways. So it's better to do the IELTS. These are things we'll discuss later anyway, but this is just to give an insight into what will be required. So almost rounding up, this is really crucial. At the moment, they are not requiring you to have a maths qualification if you want to apply for a QTS. But they are saying that by the end of 2023, they will be requiring a GCSE grade 4, which is a GCE O-level, maybe a grade 4 in Nigeria, or in those days it could be a C6. I don't know what it is now. I don't know how the grading is in Nigeria or on WAEC standards. So they will require what is called a pass, what you will require when you want to go into a university and they say, bring your English and maths. That kind of pass is what they are looking for. They're saying going forward, science qualifications will be required for anybody who wants to teach in primary school. That might become a challenge, because in Nigeria, I don't know if we do science the way they do it here. When I was in school, it used to be physics, chemistry, biology. That's what we qualify as science. Here, it's going to be, they do it as one subject. So it might be that they will just look at, maybe you have been able to pass biology. That might be what they will look at, because I think biology is the one that is compulsory for everybody. So they might look at you having a grade 4 in biology. So if you don't have that, that would be a challenge. But also what we discovered is that they might be providing an option for people who have not met those standards to be able to get something, find a way to do it, maybe do a small training, maybe a 6-month training or a 3-month training to get what they need to meet the criteria that will enable them apply for the QTS and get that award. So what's the cost of processing? We discovered from what we said, it's for people who are not qualified outside, who want to apply now. And basically, it's free. There is no charge to apply for it. So from the 1st of February, you'll be able to check if you're eligible, but you need to get your certificates converted. You'll be able to understand the type of evidence you need to provide, and then they'll ask you some questions. It will take about 5 minutes to fill that form. So it's not a long form, but the key thing is that in those 5 minutes, your application can end. If you feel it wrong, if your names are wrong, if you did not provide enough documentation, or you didn't put in exactly what they require, that means your eligibility will not go through. So you want to make sure you do that. There's no charge to apply for the QTS. But even though there's no charge, one of the things you need to remember is that you don't want your timeline to be wrong. So because the moment you are going to open, they will tell you to open an account. You will put your date of birth, you put your name. Those things are going to be held on file. So if you are producing one WAEC result today, tomorrow you want to produce another one, you know that there's going to be a slight problem. So it's better to get the whole thing right the first time. So that's what we're going to be walking through, to ensure that your documentation is right, to ensure that you create a timeline that is clean. So no dodgy documents. Don't go and go. Somebody say, well, I'll produce one for you. No, they will verify and they will catch you. So it's better not to apply and go and get it correctly than to apply and put in something wrong and they red flag your name. So how long is the processing? Processing, there's no set time at the moment, but one of the things I've discovered about this country is that they do everything based on you putting in correct documentation and getting proper accreditation of such documents. So if you put in something that is good, It's easy for them to verify, and it can come back quickly. And most of the time, they will give you a date or a timeline of when it's going to come. Or sometimes they will, on their website, you can check what the process, the progress of your application is. So most times they will help you, they will give you the facility to do that. But if not, they will give you a timeline and you'll be able to know when it's going to come through. So what we're trying to do is for you to get a heads up to start your processing now. Go and look for your certificate, the original. If you don't have your transcript, start to apply. If you know it's going to take a long time, get a statement of result, get it signed. And then you can contact us, and then we begin to look at what to do next, how to prepare, so that by the 1st of February, you're ready. So all the other ones, further prospect, if you get here, you want to become a teacher, you want to do private tutoring, there are opportunities for you to do private tutoring. You can do it privately. You can do the one that you work with an agency. Some of the fees that you're going to be looking for is maybe about £20 an hour. If you're teaching maths and you're teaching in some high-end areas where you really know your stuff, maybe A-levels and things like that, you might be going up to about £40–50 an hour. That's what you have. So those are other options, but you need to get the QTS to get into the country to be able to get all the other options. So that's why it's crucial what we're doing at this moment. So that's it in a nutshell. So like I said, so these are areas where you can find jobs, but like I said, all these ones are things that you're going to be getting into later. They are not the first things. All these ones are not needed if you don't have the QTS. So that's the few things that we're going to be doing. So I just want to stop at that point and ask if anybody has got a question. So I can quickly answer those questions, and then we can end for today. And if you are hoping to engage us, let me just quickly put that up now. The email you are going to get in using contacting us is mentoring for success. So mentoring number 4 success@yahoo.co.uk. So mentoring number 4, so you put 4 success@yahoo.co.uk. So just one word, mentoring for success@yahoo.co.uk. So if you need more information on how you can engage us, or you want to work with us going forward, get your emails across there, and then we will contact you, send you the numbers where we can now discuss. And the other thing we are looking at is planning to have a live seminar, possibly in Lagos and Abuja in February. So even though the website will be open by then, we will know the full requirements, so that when we are talking to you, we can be giving you a full detail of what you require. At the moment, we are also in touch with the Department of Education, so that we can get updates from time to time on what is required. So that's it in a nutshell. So if you have questions, please unmute yourself and then ask those questions, and I can quickly take those questions. Thank you very much for listening.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, dear.
Yes, sir. Please, I want to ask one question as touching what you just said now.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it's time for registration, how are you going to know?
Yeah, from the 1st of February, the portal will open for you to put in your documents. So once it's 1st of February, that portal will open. That link I showed them some few minutes ago. Just a minute, let me see if I can get it again. Yeah, this website here. Like I said, anything you need, if you go to www.gov.uk, if you type QTS, it will take you to that website. It will take you to the Department of Education site, where you will see this information I'm giving you now. And this website will be there. But if you click on it now, there's nothing there. It's not going to let you do anything. It will tell you it's not open yet. So what we're doing here is to start to prepare you for that 1st of February, so that by the 1st of February, you are ready. You've done your conversion, the conversion of your certificates. So you know whether you've reached level 6, you know whether your BEd is accepted, what conversion they've made of your PGDE, if that's what you've got, and then you know whether you're eligible, because the criteria will be released on that 1st of February, and then you can put your documentation in and then see whether it's allowed. Now, if before then, if you've engaged us, then we'll be able to look at it and say, okay, these are things we see as an option, even if it's not agreed. If they say, oh, no, you didn't meet the criteria, then we will know, okay, if they've said that, this is the option. This is now what you need to do. And this is where we can come to support you to be able to get what you need to do, to be able to up it, to meet that requirement. And then you can now reapply and then get your QTS. Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, good day, sir.
Good day.
Firstly, I'd like to appreciate this privilege. It's been a great insight so far. However, I joined this link quite late. So I'd like to get more clarity on the qualified teacher status. That QTS is not, I came very late, so okay. I need more explanation on that. Thanks, sir.
Okay, yeah, the QTS is just basically the standard that is required if you want to teach in primary and secondary schools in the UK. So it means that it's either in this country, if you did a Bachelor of Education, that means you were trained towards, they'll say Bachelor of Education with possibly with a QTS. Some people just want Bachelor of Education. They don't want a QTS. They want to do Masters in Education and go into a different field. But if you want to go into the teaching line, they will give you the option to have the QTS along with that. It's just like somebody who did nursing. Some people do BSc nursing and they just want to go into the academics. They don't want to practice nursing in the hospitals. So they don't want to register with the nursing council. So the NMC is not included. So when some people later, they now say, okay, I want to do it now. They now go and get that registration done separately. So that's the same thing with teaching. So if you had a BEd, then that means you are, and you had the QTS attached to your training, then that means you have the status to teach in schools. So you might finish and not teach for the first year. You might say, I want to go and work in a bank. But when you, after a year, you say, no, I don't like a bank again. I want to come back to teaching. Because you have the QTS, you can easily get a job because that's the standard to be able to teach in schools. So that's what it is. But if you're coming from a country like Nigeria or Ghana or Zimbabwe or Jamaica, India, you don't have that status because your qualification was obtained in your country. And that qualification is not currently recognized in the UK as being giving you the eligibility to teach in the UK, even though you might have 15, 20, 30 years experience of teaching. So to be able to teach now, so even if you had those degrees, if you came into the UK, they will expect you to go through a 1-year initial teacher training program to get your PGCE or the qualified teacher status in a way. So when you get that, that means you are now qualified to teach in the UK. So some schools will actually employ you as an unqualified teacher and pay you something that is maybe half of what they should pay you normally as a teacher while you train to get the QTS. When you now get the QTS, they put you on the main scale. So some schools will now say, okay, we know you have 4 years experience or 10 years experience, but we are only going to account for only 1 year or 2 years out of it because you didn't get it in the UK. So those are things that come into play. But the way it's going to work now, that will change because they are going to recognize your experience and your training from your country if you've done something along the line that I explained earlier. So if you go to my YouTube channel, if you type Kolade Akin or you just type QTS qualified teacher status with Kolade Akin on YouTube, it should come up. You will see I've done 4 other videos that highlights what I'm saying here, so you can go through that. But if you need more information, the email I gave, please contact me using that email, and then we can look at ways to support you and go through that. So the company will look at that and tell you the modalities of doing that. So once we finish today, we will be, those that contacted us by registering on Eventbrite, we'll be sending you further information from the new year on how you can engage, or you can engage us in supporting you all the way till you get your visa to come into the UK. Yeah. And I'm sorry, one other thing I shared at the beginning is that we don't issue visas. We're just going to walk you through, but we will guarantee you that if you follow, when I mean guarantee, we'll guarantee that if you put in your documents right, you'll get your visa. Even if they don't, you appeal on an appeal process, you will get it. The reason is because if documentation is right and you go through, you get your QTS, you get a job, they give you your course, which is your certificate of sponsorship, except you've done something wrong in your application, they will surely give you a visa. Once you get the COS, visas are rarely denied. Once the employer says, I've employed so-and-so, I've given them the number, let them apply. They will give you a visa. So, and those are the things we're going to support you to do. Yeah. So any other question, please, before we round up? Just about
Good
5
afternoon,
minutes.
sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, please, I applied for my transcript let me say 3 years ago. Can I still use it?
Yeah, if it's your transcript, it's your transcript.
Okay,
I think,
doesn't matter.
I don't know if they're going to look at the timeline for it, but I think if you have your transcript and it's 3 years ago, I will advise that you go and try and apply for a new one. But beyond that, get a statement of results that is current, that will match what you have in your hand. Because you know the process, sometimes to get a new one might take a long time again. So you don't want to be waiting till next year.
Okay,
sorry, till 2024 for your transcript to come out. When, if you have one at hand and it's already signed, it's official, then try and put that in. But I know sometimes they want something that is current. But if it's your transcript, I don't think there's going to be a problem with that. But we don't know anyway. But the key thing is that apply for a new one if you can do that. But let's wait for 1st of February. What I will advise is that what you have, put it on the ENIC website. If it's a transcript that is legal, that you've gotten properly, put it with all the other documentation that you have and see what the result will be. If they say no, or on the website, they might say there that the transcript must be 3 months old, 6 months old. They might say it. I don't know yet. So if you go to the ENIC website, they will tell you what they want. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Yeah. Any other question, please? Okay. Thank you very, very much for joining us today. Sorry, before you go, I just want to, there's a poll I'm going to put in to the on the page now. Please, can you just kindly fill that poll for me? So it will help us going forward as well, so we can appraise what we're doing. Please be honest and just tell us the way it is. We don't, there are no names on it, so please feel free. So I've launched it now, so you can go through it and we can do it quickly. Thank you very much. I hope we can see the polls. If you go to, if you go right down to your, okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, 2 people have already done it. Yeah. Thank you. 1 more person. Oh, 2 more now. Yeah, 1 more. Yeah, just go through that poll for me, please, and just give us a feedback. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Okay, I will end the poll now. Thank you very much. And yeah, so please, yeah, do have a wonderful day. And please, like I said, please ensure that you come back and and get back to us if you want us to support you going forward. So apart from that, thank you so much. Do have a wonderful day, and God bless.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. So the email again, let me put it in the chat box in case we didn't get it. It's mentor, or let me put it on the, let me put the caption. Yeah, mentoring for success at Yahoo. Yeah, mentoring for success at yahoo.co.uk. Send us an email and we'll send you the information that is required, or how we are going to engage with you, and the whole package, what it will entail, starting from the initial part till we finish. Yeah. Thank you very much, and do have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and a prosperous new year. God bless you.